In Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, we join Raiden 4 years after the events of Metal Gear Solid 4 on his quest to rid the world of child soldiers and kill robots and be awesome.
Raiden, what is this, Garnia? You cannot resign!
Sorry, Boris, it's done. Can't have a Maverick employee involved in a corporate raiding now, can we?
You can at least come talk to me.
No. It was time to break away from the old team, Boris. Past time.
Raiden,
Hold that thought.
I'm going to preface this review with a little reminder. Metal Gear Solid is one of my favorite series of all time, and I'm going to talk about where I think this stands with the series at the end of this review. That's not really important. Let's just get into this review looking at this game for what it is. Metal Gear Rising was developed by Platinum Games, and it definitely shows. For those of you that don't know Platinum Games, they developed games like Bayonetta and Vanquish, and it certainly shines through here. I'm just going to come out and say Metal Gear Rising definitely feels like anime. It's almost if Metal Gear Solid went the full anime route, like just a crazy anime spin-off, and it works very well. On the surface, Metal Gear Rising definitely comes off as just a simple hack and slash type game, but because it was developed by Platinum, you know that it's a little deeper than that. You know, it's based off of very simple mechanics, heavy and light attacks, but you know, timing is everything, and I actually really appreciated that. Timing and countering and blocking and just a little bit of dodging is very important in this game. There's not really as much aerial combos as I would like, but I think the game did a really good job at really kind of making you feel precise. While Blade Mode obviously gives you a very good sense of precision, I'll get into that later, the most important thing in this game definitely seems to be the blocking and countering. And for me, that's what makes and breaks it. Blocking and countering, I do appreciate that it feels very like you have to be on your toes, you have to be very attentive, and you have to be very accurate with your button presses. This is both good and bad. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't work, and it's very vital to the game. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like the counter implementation doesn't always work, and it was a little sloppily implemented, and especially the little dodge button, which requires 2 button presses. I really didn't appreciate that, but when it works very well, and it makes for a very fast, very fluid combat that's incredibly impressive to watch and makes you feel really awesome when you pull it off. I said this game looks very simple, but I already got into how precise and how important everything must be and how attentive you must be when you play this game, because it is crushingly hard. This game is not going to be for everyone because it is very hard. Not Dark Souls hard, but very difficult and very timing based, and you know, it's something that we haven't seen in a while, but I kind of like that. I appreciate that. It's a very fast and very brutal game, but when things do slow down is where it gets really interesting. Blade Mode slows down time like bullet time, and it's a combination of like that and people have compared it to Fruit Ninja, and it's very much so. You line up your strikes in slow motion and you can slice any direction you want, anything, which makes for incredible opportunities. You can slice enemies into 1,000 pieces, and then other times you need to be very precise with it. So it's fun all across the map. So that's the combat. It is very difficult and tough to master, but very rewarding once you get into it. The game world, you run around, it almost feels like an RPG. You run around kind of frankly lifeless environments, kind of exploring, and then eventually you see little groups of enemies and you go and then let's fight, and that's great. There are also stealth mechanics that I really enjoyed. They're very simple, very basic. It's no Metal Gear, it's no Splinter Cell, but you're hiding in cardboard boxes, you're sneaking around enemies, and you're sneaking up behind them and taking them out. I really like that because it's kind of a nod to Metal Gear, and no, I don't think they needed to put it in the game, but when it does come up, it's nice, and it doesn't get in the way by any means. I said a lot of the environments are lifeless, and kind of overall the game looks pretty lifeless as well. I wasn't really impressed by the graphics. The character designs and the character models are impressive, though. Platinum Games had a really great job of kind of emulating Yoji Shinkawa's art design style, and it really shone through with the characters, especially Raiden's armor. It looks incredible. You can look at that armor for days and days. There's so much detail. The story is neat. It's very decent. Like I said, for what it is, it's very anime. It's very over the top and ridiculous, but it's refreshing and it's a lot of fun. It takes you to a lot of exciting places and you do a lot of really crazy, really ridiculous things, but it's really fun to watch, and thankfully there's not a lot of QuickTime event button presses. They only pop up occasionally. I really like where they decided to take Raiden's character. For the most part, they took it where I wanted it to go, knowing that this is a ridiculous spin-off, knowing that I'm not really going to consider this part of the Metal Gear canon. I did have a real blast with you know, the return of Jack the Ripper in Raiden's character, and I really appreciated a lot of the nods they gave to the Metal Gear Solid series throughout, you know, just from story elements to things of the past, to just little nods here and there, like a question mark popping up, a couple of classic Snake lines here and there. I really appreciated that. I do think Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance stands as a very fun, very well done spin-off of the Metal Gear series, and you know what, I'll put it on my shelf next to the Metal Gear series because it deserves it. But Metal Gear Rising itself, like I said, is a lot of fun, and most importantly because it's very well paced. You're always fighting new enemies, you're always going to new locations, they're always changing up the combat, you're always getting a new boss weapon, you're always fighting a new boss, and you're always upgrading your character. I just found it a very nice, well put together plate of hack and slash Metal Gear tactical action. But that brings me to my one big complaint for Metal Gear Rising, besides the sometimes annoying combat and difficulty and the really crappy camera. The length. I clocked in just under 5 hours for Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. That is almost unacceptable. That's a really short game. I really can't sit here and tell you to go out and spend $60 on a game that's going to take you that long. Yes, you can go back and replay it, and yes, the game has a lot of great moments, and it's very fun and very well paced that you can replay it a lot, but I still don't think that warrants you have to run out right now and go get it. Maybe if you're a huge Metal Gear fan and a big Raiden fan, I don't know that if there's a lot of them out there, maybe that'll justify it, but this game is very, very short. That being said, it kind of goes back to my other point. Everything is just so well put together. Everything is so well paced. The entire package is very great. It's just condensed, and it's so good, but it's very small. Does that make sense? So that's what I think about Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. It was very hard to put that into words. I've been following the development of this game for such a long time, and it's just, it's like a weight off my shoulders that it is very good. Like I said, it is very brief, but I am overall very satisfied with Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance as a Metal Gear fan, and as a game reviewer, I think it was a very well-made game, and I am looking forward to go back and replay it. But most importantly, you guys let me know what you think in the comments of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Are you a fan of the Metal Gear series at all? Do you like Raiden? I really like how Raiden has evolved from Metal Gear Solid 2, where everyone hated him, to now he's an incredible, awesome ninja running on rockets and throwing Metal Gears in the air. So let me know anything you want about Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and that is pretty much it.
I think it's time for Jack to let her rip.